to improve upon.
Right.
And like I said before, I think that you've done an excellent job starting out for this to be your first year in the county. I know it wasn't your first year teaching, so that made it a little bit easier for
Right.
you. But I do know that starting off in the county in that first year, it's a lot of nuances and stuff that
Correct.
it's a learning curve. It's going to take you probably about a year just to pick up that stuff, and you picked it up really quickly. And I just want to commend you on that. You always come to work, always on time every day. If I ask you for stuff, you always turn it into me immediately. I mean, I look up, there it is right there. I always count you because I know that you are the one. As long as I ask for stuff, you always give me everything within a timely manner, and that's key because a lot of the stuff that I ask for is stuff that Mr. Libby may need and his supervisors may need.
Gotcha.
And it may seem small now, just a list of failing students, but they actually look at that stuff. And so I asked you for it, you always give me everything that I asked for. I think you said you wanted to work on incorporating more writing and literacy strategies into social studies.
Yeah, because the reason why I'm saying that is because coming from a charter school, when they talked about literacy in the classroom, they were showing you how social studies is in some aspects a literacy class, and so while we focus on nonfiction texts, you guys focus on the wide range of writing. So for me, how to incorporate what your writing skills that you said your kids write every day, whereas my kids quickly do like quick jots or short constructive response. I wanted to know what tools can I get from you in terms of how do I extend writing while still keeping on content. You know what I mean? Like that strategy that you can impart on me so I can be as stronger as possible to maintain that cohesiveness in the classrooms across the board.
I would say one thing you can do is essay outlines, and I shared that paper with Mr. Irwin last year. As a matter of fact, let me get you one. It's just a basic outline. So that's for 2 paragraphs, and then the other part must have got broken off. And then this is for 4. And it's a very old-fashioned outline. Like back when you were in school, we had the Roman numerals and the A, B, and C. And I just kind of switched it up some on your first paragraph because you have your thesis statement as your last sentence of the first paragraph. And then if you go back to the top, you have your attention grab or your background support. So that'll be your first paragraph. And then you just have them do maybe, I would say to start them off, 2 to 3 paragraphs. And give them that option, 2 to 3 paragraphs.
Okay.
And then also, what you may want to look at is us doing, and Mr. Irwin and I did that too, where they started an essay in his class, and then they brought their essay outlines to my class. And then I spent the class period with them, with their structure, writing it out into an actual essay. And I sat with like groups and went over certain things, like we did peer correction where they switched papers
Right.
and had them grade each other's papers. And then they took that paper back to his class and did their final edits and typed it up. So that's something that we could do too, that collaborating effort. If you come up with a project, I'll give a classroom or a class or 2 to that, to working on.
Right.
Now the issue is I don't have all of your students.
That's where
And that's what the issue will be. However, the ones I do have, we can try to work that out.
Right.
And hopefully they'll schedule it better next time where we have the same students, where I have like the majority of your students, and we can work on that.
Right, because I think that's missing from this puzzle. Because for me, teaching in a high school at this magnitude, most of my students may not come to you. They may go Miss Enright or
Mhm.
Miss Enright, right?
Right.
Yeah, and so they're getting the bulk of their. But because we don't see, I'm used to meeting with teachers weekly,
Mhm.
so that it's the structure is tight, but we don't meet as often as we did at the charter school. So knowing what they're doing it's hard unless I ask the kids, well, what are you doing? Or the kids will say, the kids will tell me, oh, Mr. Buckman is working on stuff from Miss Enright. And I said, how do you know? He said, well, they're using the same strategy. So I'm just trying to find out like the best strategy to attack writing in this setting. You know what I mean? It's kind of difficult when some of my students see you, and then some of my students see Miss Enright, and then some of them don't see him. None at all.
Right.
So it's filling in the blank in a high school process because of our credits, so they may have already taken English, and so, how do I backwards map that? So
We was, I mean, that's a good identifying what the issue is. So let's work out a solution. So one solution would be for you to identify who your students are, and if they're in an English class, we may have to do it during lunchtime.
right,
I pull some in at lunch, Ms. Enright pulls some in at lunch, and we do that kind of collaboration. The ones who don't have English class, we may have to set some time for them to come to lunch to work on it, because I'll see that as an issue too, where they're not getting any practice writing at all because they're not in English this semester. So they're way behind. They don't have good paragraph structure and stuff like that. I see that with my online students, because when I give them essays to write, they're not getting that instruction in writing, so their writing was not structured at all. I think that's the biggest thing we have to work on, is how to get that cross collaboration. And see what it is in Prince George's County, our curriculums are not really written to be collaborative, interdisciplinary wise.
Right.
You can kind of manipulate it to be, but just like when I'm reading Night, it would be good if Mr. Buckman was on the Nazis, but the problem is that does not come in till way at the end of the school year.
Right.
So he's probably doing World War II now, whereas I read Night in the third quarter.
exactly.
So it doesn't really align. And you say about meeting more often. In charter schools, that's how it is.
Right.
I worked in charter schools. Our curriculums were theme based. So everybody was doing something on power or change or choice or relationship, and we could go into a social studies class and do projects. I did that. We did cross collaborative projects. Even in math, we did it.
Correct.
We did it across all disciplines. We did some kind of cross collaboration in all classes. So for us, it's a little bit more difficult, but not impossible.
Oh yeah.
We can touch the students that we can reach, and then we can use lunch tutoring for the other ones. Like, you have maybe 5 or 6 students that aren't in the English class. We spend a lunchtime together.
Right.
You take 3, I take 2, we break it up. We work with them on how to structure an essay. We go through this in class with the ones I have.
Gotcha.
And then when the ones we don't have, we'll have to put them in for lunch, maybe like the day before. You do it with the rest of the class. They have that attention, because they're not going to get it in my class. Say I had my first period class do it, and you have those same students third period, they'll have it, or we do it the day before.
Right.
I think the day before would be
The day
better.
before would be good, because then they can use that prior knowledge of seeing it, and so they can say, aha, I've heard it, seen it. And they may not get it in that class, but they're gonna have it with them. It's gonna be in their remember bank. You know what I mean?
Right. So you introduce the subject matter in your class, and then that next day I would go over the writing process, and then the next day in your class they would actually start writing the essay out. Like, I would have the question from you, and I would have them start on the outline. Maybe I get like their thesis and their first paragraph done.
Gotcha.
And so then you can look at it to see what direction they're going in before they get too far into it.
Right.
And then you can come back and okay it. And then we either get them at lunchtime, or maybe I do another class where they finish the essay, or at least get like a rough draft done, and then they do the final draft with you.
Yeah.
Or something like, just kind of like thinking it out.
So And what you just said made sense. Yeah, in terms of that format, and that's a good way for us at least to start the ball rolling next quarter, so as to be familiar with the writing process, because at times it just seems like it's disconnected, where I'm talking about writing, and then the kids are like, oh, how to, and and all that process, and I'm like, well, we're gonna walk it together. And that's when I started introducing the rubric or the writing graphic organizer to help them formulate how to start this sentence, how to end it. And then some students get it, and some students are more independent driven. But then my concerns comes around the ones that are like ground zero, like have no idea of how to start it. And one is because they haven't had like an English class in a while, and so they're not familiar with the process of how to structure like the basics, semantics of a writing process, and then others they just maybe just haven't built a capacity to how to learn how to, because they've been out of school for such a long time, well, a year. Well, one of the students I have, he's not been in school for a year, and I see his writing is like, but he tries, but I want to get them past trying and just becoming more stronger writers in that process.
Just have to practice. So
right.
I would say, what's the first unit that you work on?
Local government.
Local government.
Yeah.
What in particular?
Structure, basically like who's in charge, like at the local level, and then the governor. Just teaching them about who's in charge in the county, the county structure.
One thing Mr. Libby was saying that we should do, and I would like to try to do this, is, especially since we've had all these elections just happen, is to try to get the students to come up with an issue and actually write a letter to like either their local delegate or
right.
congressman
we
or baker or something. So you did do that with your last semester.
Yeah,
class.
that's what the remember I showed you the letter template that we used?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they enjoyed that, and I got a lot of feedback because they were able to use the issues that they had out here on the posters to pull into their letters, like lack of teen opportunities versus jobs. And they were able to write about that, speak on that, like teen violence. What causes violence? Well, there's not enough opportunities out here for the kids, so they have to go out and try to rob and try to steal from others. If they had a program that could manifest them a job opportunity, so they can be able to, seek gainful employment. And
are you planning on doing that again?
Yes.
All right, so let's look at doing that, and we'll meet again. We'll come up with a plan so I can assist with that in the English classroom too. Because I would like to try to make that into a cross collaboration. And even my students that don't have your class, right. I'll still have them do the assignment. Yeah. So we can have a group of students.
Exactly. And the county rep was Donna Edwards that we sent it. Well, I didn't send it. I just kept it.
Right.
Yeah. So, because I don't know the process. I know when I was teaching at Drew Freeman, I was able to write Congressman, I think it was Hoyer. But no, it wasn't Hoyer. It was a senator, and then he had wrote me back. So he wrote the class back. But this was like in '97 or '98.
I'm pretty sure we can. That's something I'll have to find out. But I'm pretty sure we can have those letters sent out. I'm pretty sure, but we'll have to find out.
Right.
We'll have to find out. Normally I've had it, so we did. Just send them out. So you said that's like in your first week. So let's
No. That letter process doesn't come until write a letter to a senator doesn't come until when I hit the legislative branch.
Which is when?
That was like